You are listening to Pop This, the podcast where three women talk about pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen, Andrea Gin, and Andrea Warner.
So I know that like last week everyone heard our new intro, and everyone's like, well, I hope people are excited about it. I know that like one of the first things Carlos said to me was like, "Hey, your music's different. It's poppier." And I was like, well, I mean,
I worked hard on selecting that.
What a great ear.
I believe it makes us 33% improved or something. Usually when they put out a new product, it's never like 100% improved.
But we also have Morgan Brayton's incredible vocals, like sort of voicing our intro. So that makes us 100% improved.
Who you may know from podcast episodes of Hacks and The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Yep, friend of the podcast.
Friend of the
Morgan
podcast.
Brayton.
Yes.
Total professional voice
One
actor.
taker? Was she a one taker?
BT dubs. No, she did many takes in different intonations and different speeds and different. Yeah, it was amazing.
So you got real
sweet
pro
angel.
quality, different than us, hey?
But great job putting it together, AG, and thank you, Morgan Brayton. And we're like really excited. You know, we are nearing our 300th episode, so it's a bit of a time for like a refresh.
Honest to God, if you were to ask me what number like 74 was, I couldn't even tell you. Like, this is insane.
Yeah, 300. We're getting there, and it's real close.
300.
300.
Wow. We found 300 things to talk about. That is an incredible achievement. Thank you. It's as if culture just keeps coming at us, hey?
It's weird that even though it feels as if plenty of things in the world have stopped or stood still, the pop culture keeps coming.
There's always something new, and just to give us a bit of a segue.
Old. This is like a real fast segue. We've never not talked this long.
Well, but my impression was before we started recording, we were already into talking about how much we love this movie and how much we were laughing about it.
We have nothing more to say.
I could tell you my thoughts on The Rain, which is what I was going to tell you, how this always happens to me. I go, oh, I can't wait for it to get all fall and autumn, and I'm going to put a sweater on. And then it happens, and I'm like, oh, my God, I miss summer so much.
I know. Everything's just so damp now.
Where are you, golden days? Where are you, Phil Collins weather, which is what I call a nice day because it's no jacket required.
I will say I forgot about the rainy bone chill. I spent like a full like, I don't know, 4 hours or 6 hours or something, like doing a bit of a wine tour, and mostly being outside and staying outside so that because I'm not really that comfortable being inside anywhere. And so we got to drink outside while it was pouring rain, most of the spaces. And I was cold until the next day. Like it was.
The wine did not warm you.
I mean, I felt warm when it was happening, but the rainy chill that stayed with me. And then my new rain boots, they're really cute, but I guess like they really maybe don't fit that well.
Because I always get blisters from mine. Always.
My leg hurt for like 2 days after, and I was trying to figure out like what I had done. I was like looking all over, like did something bad happen? Like no, it was just I guess don't have great rain boots.
You know, you should be able to, in this city, break in some rain boots. But I always find every time I put them on, they're always a little bit new feeling.
Yeah.
They have no arch support. All rain boots are bad.
Yeah, no, they are. They are. You look sort of chic. You look like you're weather appropriate, but you're like inside wincing in pain. Like, ha ha ha.
So one of the things I did was I got these waterproof shoes, like running shoes. And they're like
I read
good.
about those. Yeah,
they're called Vessies, and I think they're made locally. And they're not bad in terms of the waterproof, like that's good. But I have found that they are extremely tight around the top of my ankles, which makes sense because they're keeping out
the rain out.
water.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But, if you're not just like thin enough of ankle, then it's a bit like, it feels a bit like I'm being strangled at my ankles. So
I don't know if the company's going to really want you for an endorsement. But
well, here's the thing. I wore them in the woods and we were there for like a couple of hours and my feet stayed dry and I had a good walk and it was great. But when I got them home, I was like, well, I need these off immediately. So those had good arch support. I would recommend them. And especially if you have like thinner ankles than me, then grab them. They're also good for wide feet because they're just like almost like a fabric, like a water resistant fabric, like a knit kind of thing. So yeah, I would recommend them, but like just be aware if you have like a thick ankle.
I have a pair of Doc Marten Chelsea boots that are rain boots, and I love wearing them, but they hurt me.
Yeah,
they just do. And the only way it works is if I put on a big, thick, heavy pair of fleece socks, which then I don't want to go to someone's house and take off my boots and be wearing. But anyway, that's what I was going to talk about, and we did talk about it.
Great job.
Have I ever told you my idea about an umbrella exchange?
No, but
I love this idea. Okay, but tell us.
I feel like Vancouver should have sort of a umbrella exchange where people can just take and leave umbrellas.
Yes, I love this idea. 100%.
And they'd just be in buckets in front of like stores or wherever, restaurants and stuff, and you could just, they would be, covered with ads or whatever to pay for the making of the umbrellas, so no one would really want to keep them, but it would just be like you could just take it or drop it off wherever you are, and you wouldn't have to worry about leaving your umbrella somewhere, and there would always be one if you're going out and it happened to be raining.
Love it.
I think that's great.
Yeah, I think you should make this happen. Kind of like the bike thing. Maybe you could put a quarter in or something just to lock it.
Yeah,
I like it.
That's true.
I like it a lot. Well, again, these are all great ideas. But yeah, you're right. I guess we stomped all over our segue. So now there is none that is like elegant.
Just go back to it.
We're just going to hard segue.
Yeah.
Hard segue. To talk about the movie that we all love so much. I'm Andrea Warner.
I'm Lisa Christiansen.
I'm Andrea Gin.
And you're listening to Pop This. And we also have Lisa's microphone working, so yay!
Yay! Technical issues. I've had a lot this evening. First of all, the camera wouldn't work, then my microphone. But you know what? The important thing is we did fix it.
Yeah. Good catch, AG.
Yeah.
Eventually we got there.
We got there. We got there for the meat of this.
Look, we said that we were nearing 300 episodes. It doesn't mean we don't still have stuff to learn. It's fine. We'll always have
and
stuff.
That's why I said we're 33% more improved. I didn't say 50. Didn't even say 60. Just 33.
Wow. 33 doesn't include like working mics.
No, it does not.
Not when we have such a great theme and a new intro. I'm really excited to talk about this movie. I had never seen it. We're discussing Secrets and Lies from 1996. I love that we're doing like a bit of a 1996 thread here, and like really working our way through a good year in the Criterion Collection.
What does it say that this movie feels like a real period piece?
I mean, I think it says a lot of different things for sure. It does. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like it feels like of a different time completely. Mm-hmm. And yet at the same
it feels just like one of those British kitchen sink dramas that they always do so well that are timeless.
Well, that's the thing. Like it feels like this is going to sound weird, but like it feels like it could be a British movie that was released this year. it just would it would not be an American film. You know?
I swear to God, the outfits would not be different.
They would not.
I don't
Completely.
think there'd be any
I
difference.
mean,
When I saw-
hopefully the plumbing wouldn't be.
Well, the outdoor
Outside,
toilet
yeah,
was
wild.
I was a little like, oh my, I guess I mean, you know, I did not know. But when I saw Hortense's high-waisted black jeans, I was like, those are great. And she absolutely
Hortense is exactly of this time.
Yeah,
there
like
was nothing about her wardrobe or her car or her home
it was perfect.
that looked out of step for right now.
Yeah, no, it was perfect. It was totally perfect. Anyway, all right, let's do this. I'm happy to read the background if you'd like. Secrets and Lies is a 1996 drama film written and directed by Mike Leigh. The film won the Cannes Film Festival's Palme d'Or, as well as the Best Actress Award for Brenda Blethyn. She also won Golden Globe Award for Best Actress, and at the 50th British Academy Film Awards, those old BAFTAs, the film received 7 nominations, winning both Best British Film and Best Original Screenplay, and it received 5 Oscar nominations that year.
That's a little surprising to me. Like I don't know if I would expect a British film like an indie British film to get 5 Oscar nominations.
Well, it's a pretty stellar film, so.
But it's like quiet and more intimate. But like I know what you mean, because like, well, think of the things that it sort of lost to: Jerry Maguire,
Oh yeah.
The English Patient,
Oh.
Fargo.
Right, yes.
Yeah, so it was like kind of
That was a tough year.
it's an interesting year in film, like
yeah.
because it does feel like sort of that it's 1 year before Titanic, and like it's not that blockbusters hadn't been huge at that point, but like I feel like there's like that's 1996 is a really interesting tipping point before we get to 97 and 98.
Agreed. Very much agreed.
Anyway, sorry, go ahead, synopsis.
When Hortense, played by Marianne Jean-Baptiste, a black optometrist who was adopted as a child, begins a search for her birth mother, she doesn't expect that it will lead her to Cynthia, Brenda Blethyn, winner of the Cannes Film Festival's Best Actress Award, a lonely white factory worker whose tentative embrace of her long-lost daughter sends shockwaves to the rest of her already fragile family. Born from a painstaking process of rehearsal and improvisation with a powerhouse ensemble cast, Secrets and Lies is a Palme d'Or winning tour de force of sustained tension and catharsis that lays bare the emotional fault lines running beneath everyday lives.
Excellent.
And that would be the movie we watched.
There was so much tension, right? Like, so I can't believe I've never seen this movie. I understand that I was a teenager when it came out, so maybe it wouldn't have been like, you know, but no, there's no excuse for it, because like I saw Magnolia like 3 times. So, and I know those aren't the same, but I'm just saying, like, in terms of.
But you could have, like, one of those times you could have seen Secrets and Lies.
One of them I could have seen
instead.
Secrets and Lies for sure. But like I was just like, I don't know, man. I was honestly like dumbstruck while I was watching it, because I just think Marianne Jean-Baptiste and Brenda Blethyn are doing incredible. Like, I mean, the whole cast is great, but they are doing incredible things throughout the whole film. It was mesmerizing to watch.
So what made you discover it and decide to, like, you're the one who kind of suggested it for us to view? Like, what brought it up on your radar?
Well, when I like read about it, when I was like looking at different like anniversaries and stuff, I came across it and I was like, oh yeah, this movie, like this is all about like sort of mothers and daughters and women relating to each other. This seems like reasonable content for us to have talked about at some point, since we are always looking for, you know, I mean, we talk about like strong female characters, but we're not talking about like characters who are like strong and like you know, not flawed. We're talking about like incredible characters who have like interiority in life and have complex relationships and backstories, and you know, you can like there's like meat to these depictions, and it just seemed like this would maybe live up to that, like from everything I read and what I had heard. And I was just like, how have we not done this yet, actually, on a lot of levels? I'm so glad we did.
Yeah. I'd never seen the movie either. So
Really?
yeah.
Oh, exciting.
It's kind of always, it's been on that list of like, oh, films I should probably watch at some point. So I'm glad I finally got around to it.
I had seen it. I went through a real Mike Leigh phase where I watched all of his movies. That's a particular genre I really like.
Mike Leigh?
Mike Leigh, yeah. Well, I mean, it is a particular kind of British drama.
Yeah.
And I grew up, my mom was a big Coronation Street fan, which this very much makes me think of. In lots and lots of ways. The drama is kind of a little bit soap opera-ish, which is fine by me. I love soap operas.
Yeah.
And it's family drama, which I also love. And that's a big part of, well, that's all Coronation Street really is. So this has been, I've seen many of his other films as well. And I think I'm just also very drawn to these improvisational, like, Curb Your Enthusiasm is all improvised as well. Like you have an idea of what the scene is and you go. And I feel like you can tell. And I feel that's why, people talk about not wanting to watch Curb Your Enthusiasm because it makes them so uncomfortable. And this movie also had this way of making you feel so uncomfortable in these moments. I mean, I'm hoping everybody who is listening to the podcast has had a chance to watch it or, will, because the thing that we were discussing was the awkward dinner party. And it is so horribly awkward and also just, like the best kind of nightmare dinner party, which we all love to see in movies and things. So yeah, I'd seen it before, but I'm glad to watch it again. It's different when you're watching it critically than when you're just watching it as a movie that, just came out.
Well, I would love to hear you could maybe speak to that difference or just like how different it was when you first saw it versus watching it now. Like what's changed for you?
I think we talk a lot more about race issues than we did, even though this film exists and it does explore that. I don't think I had thought about it as critically. I also don't think I thought about class as critically as I do now. And this movie it has a lot of race elements, but it has a tremendous amount of class issues as well. And that really surprised me. I hadn't really noticed that. I think I was just caught up in the story and the, and oh my gosh. And I didn't really, all of his films are very painful. These are people who have painful stories. They have huge, huge, huge regrets always. And they smoke a gosh darn lot. Wow.
Yeah, they do smoke a heck of a lot in this movie.
I just wanted to talk about a little bit about Mike Leigh's like process because it seems so unusual, and Lisa, you kind of alluded to it in that it's what draws you to his movies, maybe. But it's described as an intense pre-production period where he builds the characters with his actors, and they improvise and workshop much of the dialogue together. And then, but I read that once the filming starts, they are not allowed to improvise the dialogue at all. So
it's all been recorded and written down what they were saying in the workshops.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's really fascinating. And I think I feel like that's why you can sort of see, I don't know, like that bringing the actors in to help literally bring voice to the characters and like bring them alive like that. I think for me, what I was observing was that the actors seem to feel like they lost themselves so much more in the parts. Like, because, obviously if you're watching great acting, you're watching people disappear inside characters, et cetera, et cetera. But you know how like, there's a difference. There's a magic to watching someone really like embody a character and have their face react like minuscule facial muscles reacting to the pain and or awkwardness or like humor or delight. Like every time, so after like Hortense and meet Cynthia, and like Cynthia has these couple of moments where she'll like sort of like that malapropism, like she'll say the wrong word, like she says instead of ravished, she's ravishing, and Hortense sort of laughs, and this like sort of fond like joy kind of fills her eyes, and like it's just like these moments, and particularly perhaps actually like most importantly is like this diner scene where they're first having a conversation, like the longest conversation they've had, reunited as mother-daughter. And, Brenda Blethyn Cynthia is a complex character. She is a difficult woman in the most really like meaningful exploration of difficult. She's very sad. She's very anxious. She's constantly drinking.
This is a woman that finds daily life to be completely overwhelming.
Yes.
And now she is in a position that is the most overwhelming situation I can even imagine.
Yeah, she's like, she's reliving this whole giving up her baby, being forced to give up her baby. Both women are surprised to find out that, Hortense has a white mother and Cynthia has a black daughter. These are surprising revelations, and that I can't even imagine those revelations. But like, so they're having this scene side by side in the diner, and it's like an uninterrupted 7-minute long shot. And like Marianne is doing the most controlled, beautiful interior acting I've ever seen next to Brenda Blethyn, who's really doing quite a very exterior performance. And it's not that it's like, it's both are deeply affecting, but just watching that contrast side by side, like that's like, I know this sounds so dumb to like come to this movie 25 years after the fact when everyone else has already seen it. But like, honestly, that 7 minutes is just like, I don't know, that just feels like a masterclass in everything, like filmmaking, writing, acting, directing, cinematography. Like, it's just incredible.
Well, you pointed us to an article in Slate, which was an interview with Mike Lee.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking about like the actors, he doesn't let them hang out or let them get to know each other before, like during the film. And so in the run up to that scene where Brenda Blethyn's character sees Hortense for the first time, it's actually like she didn't know who to look for while she was waiting outside the station. And she was genuinely surprised to see that actor show up.
When did they do the workshopping then? After they filmed that?
They do it individually with Mike Lee. They don't do it together.
And then they slowly build the casting together. So Marianne Jean-Baptiste wasn't brought into the sort of more full cast experience until a bit later in the filming.
Yeah, and
Wow.
so, yeah, that's a genuine look of surprise on her face because it was not who she was expecting to see.
No, I can imagine.
And then they go and film this particular scene, and it's yeah, I mean, honestly, it's incredible. Like, and I guess, yeah, I just feel like I know that Brenda Blethyn got a lot of the awards acknowledgement, but I just feel like 25 years later, Marianne Jean-Baptiste's like performance is so masterful as well. And I can see why it gets overlooked in the moment when this movie came out, but like, it's incredible. Like, I just watching her just sort of quietly react with just her eyes, or just like a small like twinge of her lips, or like, I don't know. I was really blown away.
Well, and because she's such a sophisticated cosmopolitan woman.
Yeah.
She is miles ahead and away from this new family that she's found herself in, who are having a thought, and you know it. Like, they're not keeping anything in. It's a constant anger and sadness and words that you didn't mean to say. I mean, we saw fights between, Cynthia and her daughter Roxanne. I wish I'd never had you. I wish you'd never had me. And then later on, I'm so sorry. And yet we see, Hortense just a model of being able to I'm going to take some time. I'm going to read the situation like, very sophisticated people do.
Yeah,
They
she has like a
don't,
lot of emotional maturity and a lot of like,
yeah.
it's like
You can tell the family she was from was not Cynthia's.
Yeah, so this is like super dark, but I think it's because I've been watching like some British dramas as well. But like I had the smallest worry that we were gonna get extra soapy and extra dark and find out that like Cynthia's brother was also Roxanne's father.
I thought that too.
I was so worried about that.
Yeah.
I was like, no.
Especially when she was like clamoring over him
Yes,
in
and,
that,
like,
their dad's creepy bedroom.
Oh my God, there is a lot of dynamics happening there, and it was deeply uncomfortable. Yeah. I'm glad
Have either of you seen Downton Abbey?
I
Yes.
haven't watched it.
How long did it take for you to realize that Monica was Mrs. Hughes?
Yeah, no, I had to look it up right away because I knew her voice so well.
Yeah, it's so distinctive.
Yeah.
This is the first movie that I've seen Timothy Spall get to be kind of, I mean, I haven't seen, I guess, enough Mike Leigh films because I know that he's kind of a regular, but that I really got to see a full range of his talents. Like he
Because he's not usually thinking Harry Potter or
yeah,
something.
like usually he's sort of like some craven little, short beastie, like just kind of evil dude or like henchman or whatever. And this is such a different role for him, but I found it like really compelling, and I found him like very, just like attractive and like winning as like an actor. Like I thought like I mean, there's lots to be said about like the idea of like families needing some kind of like steadying patriarch when it's like a bunch of women sort of in volatile positions of conflict or whatever. That's a different read, and I think that's a different read that I will put aside for now because I just liked this particular performance so much. But I have seen elements of that dynamic in like my own family where like we tend to be a family of very strong, a lot of women, a lot of strong women with strong personalities, lots of conflicts amongst all of us. And unfortunately, a lot of like the men have died. And so there's an interesting sort of, I think, sort of like, not exact doubling, but like very relatable energies that I could identify with regards to how all of these women sort of are put almost like, and I think again, because of just like society, are sort of like put into conflict with each other and competition with each other instead of like being able to talk about their hurts and their pains. And, they're not really, like the scarcity and the class issues really come into play, I think, a lot between obviously the sister and sister-in-law and daughter.
Oh, yes. And I guess also when you asked me what's changed since watching it the first time, I'm pretty sure I'd never heard of, and I always say this word wrong,
endometriosis.
Which is what it seems like Monica had.
Yeah, she could have polycystic ovarian syndrome. She could have endometriosis. Yeah. Like it's really hard to know.
It was a terrible, like painful periods. It seemed.
Yeah.
It seemed that she was constantly in pain and in distress, and he was, and her husband was just so sympathetic and so helpful.
Yeah. Like it's such an interesting, because like they really set her up to be. You can see how angry she is, and you can see that she's almost resentfully building this home and decorating this home that feels too empty and like a cage. She's basically like crafting her own prison because she can't fill it with the children that she wants to fill it with. And she knows that, she feels so upset and so angry and so resentful. And we see her like sort of seemingly being very cruel to Morris I honestly would want to pronounce it Maurice. But then we get this like beautiful shift, you know, where we understand where her pain is coming from, and we understand like how it's just that she feels, you know, just deeply resentful, upset, and jealous.
Yeah.
That she can't give him
Well,
these things
and
that he
it
wants.
seems that Roxanne was closer to them than she is to her own mother as well, or for a time.
Or was for
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they have that picture of her on
I
the
know.
mantelpiece.
So
and
sweet.
Adorable.
So sweet. It's so adorable.
I was fascinated by Morris's job as a
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
portrait
God, so good.
photographer, because it really makes you think. That's what made it really feel like a period piece to me, because
Yeah.
it was like it's pre-social media, pre-people taking selfies, and it's when people used to go into portrait studios and get their official picture taken, and it was such a different thing because it's like posed. And I just
That
love
background,
this
that
yeah, with
modeled, colorful background.
different backgrounds, and like photography used to be such a different thing as recently as the 90s.
Yeah.
Because like, you know, these places barely even exist now. I don't know if you guys ever followed Casey Musk.
Oh, yeah, when
Casey
she went to the
Musgraves.
studio.
Yeah, and she and her sister were looking for a 1-hour photo place in LA when they're on tour, and went to this like, you know, really small strip mall type place, and discovered this man doing portrait photography in a 1-hour development studio, and with like different backgrounds. Like it was totally nostalgic, totally vintage, like rainbow backgrounds or clouds or whatever. And they Casey Musgraves got her picture taken there and then put it on Instagram, and then it became huge and popular, and now like I'm sure his business is thriving just because she just loved his photography. And sort of like this movie taking the time to show all of these portraits of different customers that are coming into his portrait studio was so fascinating to me, because there's like a different little family dynamic going on in every single picture that he was taking.
And also that one scene where the former owner of the studio came in, that was almost like a really unusual scene in a movie that most of the scenes were all to do with that central theme we had with this family. But
so
yeah.
Have either of you ever gone to a portrait studio like that with your family?
Yes. I did.
I did when I was like really little, but I haven't.
Yeah.
The last time I was in a portrait studio was, outside of getting my passport photo taken, was like my grad photos.
Yeah, like I still think they do grad photos there, but like Lisa, did you you
the
have
whole
like
family.
the background and then you
Yeah.
put it like framed on your mantelpiece type of situation?
Yes, that's right.
Do you still have them?
I don't know. My parents did often hired photographers to come to the house to take portraits.
Isn't it so interesting to think about it? Like nobody does family photos like that anymore, posed in a studio.
I don't know. Do you follow that Instagram account, Awkward Family Photos?
That's true.
No.
Awkward Family Photos is a great Instagram account. Yeah.
It's probably one of my favorite things ever, and it's a lot of those portraits. A lot of those portraits gone wrong. There's a lot of family it's all
like
family
ones
photos.
that are taken in the year 2021.
I honestly feel yes. Like some are some
like
are old,
outside and things. Yeah,
yeah. Some are old, but I think some are taken like
people get my I'm not me, but my but friends and my sister-in-law. They get those Christmas pictures every year from people who send those family portraits.
Oh yeah, you're
and
right.
And I have a friend who gets those done every year.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
But it's always in a more natural setting. Or
People usually go outside and
or
things
they're on
like
vacation or something.
Yeah.
It's not like you're all sitting on a carpet hump.
No, I haven't sat on a carpet hump in a long time.
No. Did you get those? Do you have one? You must have some.
I'm sure my parents have some in
Yeah.
their home.
I
Yeah.
have the ones, like, I remember from the session, one of the sessions that we had as a family, it was like my sister and I think it's like I'm the floating head in the black space above my sister, and like she's in the, you can see her full body, but it's just like my head in the distance being like,
Oh, one of those.
yeah.
Oh!
Yeah.
The Awkward Family Photos account is a lot of grandmothers taking grandkids off to they do talk about a particular kind of studio that used to be in every mall and isn't anymore. There's a
Yeah.
lot of talk about those ones. So these grandmothers taking their granddaughters to these portrait studios and glamming them up like they're going to grad in 1988 or something. I mean, they are wild photos. Their hair is standing on end. They're wearing leather jackets. They've got lipstick and blush. And I mean, it is insane. And anyway, well, once you get in that account, you will never leave.
Yeah, it's true. It's pretty great. But I think like one of the things I just loved also like hearing how Morris talks to all of these people to try and get them to give a bit of a smile. Like
the woman with the scar in her face.
Yeah, well, and just like how he engages with everyone, and like I feel so that scene where the former boss comes, I think like it does feel a bit out of place, and yet at the same time, it's another scene that like shows us just how solid Morris is, how much he's able to like de-escalate situations with sad drunks, like because I think he has a lot of experience doing that with Cynthia, because I kept forgetting how drunk Cynthia is through the majority of the scenes that we see with her, is that like she's got lots of other things going on as well, but it's also further complicated and exacerbated by her drinking. And so I think like he just it's just like another sort of scene that establishes what a like what it looks like for him to always be worried about other people's happiness. Like when he has his big blow up at the end, that's what he's really talking about. It's just like he's constantly sort of like putting himself aside to a certain extent to sort of be able to deal with other people. And that's like, that's a sort of learned skill on a lot of levels, but he's also he's the brother who's able to like escape their circumstances. Like he's out of the council housing. Like he leaves his sister behind and Roxy and, builds this like new life in the country or like the suburbs with a fancy house with his wife, and like he has a bit of regret, obviously it seems, but he's also not looking back. Like he hasn't seen her in a year apparently, which is a very long time when they have their like reunion. And then he like, it's a very painful reunion, frankly, and very uncomfortable reunion on a lot of levels for everyone. And then he lets Cynthia hug him for a couple of minutes that look like they're the most suffocating minutes of his life.
Yes.
And she's sobbing and she's so sad. And then he like hands her some money and leaves. Like it's a very tough scene to sort of like watch and try to understand exactly what those dynamics are, which is one of the reasons I think why I like misread it and was worried that he was also Roxy's father. And then juxtapose that with the family experience that Hortense had, which is telling Cynthia, "Oh no, I know I was adopted. I was told when I was a child," and I think she said she was 7 when they were coming back on a. Yeah, coming back from Barbados.
She looked out at the clouds. It didn't seem to faze her, like it didn't upset her. She knew she was loved and cared for. And then as an adult, when she goes to try and find her, that's why it was not that it wasn't without its drama and pitfalls and fears for her. But at the same time, she was able to confront it because she hadn't lived a life of a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was what was a bit surprising about the story to me, is that I didn't think that they would immediately get along so well, mother and daughter. Like their relationship, they would bond so quickly and become friends and get along so well. Like I didn't
I love the change in
think that was
Cynthia's
gonna happen.
appearance too, right?
Yeah.
Did you notice that? Her body language, it was just really fascinating. Her hair changed. The more she became more assertive.
Well, and just to watch sort of like Cynthia's so lonely, and Hortense is going through this like incredible grief. Like the movie opens on her mother's funeral, and it's this like beautiful, heartbreaking, emotional scene of this like family singing this like spiritual song at this funeral, and it's it just there's not like everyone like is there together, and everyone seems sort of like solidly, there's a warmth, right? And then we sort of go into Cynthia's home where there's like nothing has been warm ever. Like that is like a sad house and some sad people, and it's really just sort of like, I mean, it really, it's almost like poverty porn. Like it's like they don't allow any sense of sort of joy other than just sort of like clinging to this past that Cynthia's had to sort of put aside everything for everyone else for a very long time. But she's also got this like arrested emotionality that's like stuck at the age of 10 when she started to look after her father. And,
Well, and then she looked after Morris, and then she had a kid of her own and raised Roxanne. And
Yeah.
to me, that was like one of the saddest moments, where she was talking to Roxanne, her daughter, and just being like, when are you going to have a baby? Like, why don't you have a baby? I could raise it. And it was just
Yeah. And then all of a sudden she's like, what am I saying? Oh my God. That's the worst idea of all time.
But, like this idea that it would give her something she liked to do, because that's what she knows is
that's
like
what she knows how to
raising
do.
human beings.
Yeah.
It's caring for people.
Yeah. And just, but like also like just not being great at caring for people, because her idea of care is like a debt that you pay, and you have to pay every single day. It's not, and there's been no mutual care. Like she's so lonely, and people have like really, like Morris has just like sort of turned his back on her for the last year. And I think that's one of the things that's so beautiful about, her getting to know Hortense is like this daughter that she's never known, that she gave up, this baby that she's like, this woman who is actually not desperate for a mother because she had a great mother, but like just who realizes that this is a second chance at a relationship that, could be close. And after her own daughter kind of continuously rejects her, although she also rejects her own daughter over and over and over again. And she says some incredibly cruel things when she's drinking, and like just how suffocated they feel in the home together. It's like every house seems a bit like a prison except Hortense's. And even then she doesn't leave her house anymore because she's grieving, and she just doesn't know what to do with that grief. And anyway, so just like the story and like the layers of story about motherhood and across adoption, childbirth, infertility, and how much like pain and I don't know, like pain and connection and joy exists in all three. Like this movie does some pretty incredible things, and I feel like the fact that like the actors work on that dialogue with Mike Lee, like it's weird to me that he gets credit as the writer solely when it's such a group effort.
Created these, yeah.
And I feel honestly, truly that like this movie benefits from the voices of all of these women, because like it's lived experience. I don't think that Mike Lee would be able necessarily to replicate or know on his own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh. I cried so much, you guys.
Sometimes though I felt like, oh my God, this is so intense. Like I was just, when they would just be sitting in their sad house, just yelling at each other.
Yeah.
I just was so heartbroken. And then watching Monica angrily stencil,
I know.
which is a very bizarre thing to do. I will angrily stencil. And then I love the fact that he kept the scene in of her doing the tour of the house, which had to include showing where she keeps the bed linen.
I know.
I know, the linen closet.
The linen closet. I thought, why are we opening this door? And then the toilet, she kept running to put them down because they were up.
Oh,
like, it was
so good.
Like,
There's
his
so
attention
much
to detail,
detail.
the costuming, the hair.
Can I?
Those are easy stories to me to underestimate
Yeah.
the power of those things.
Yeah. Even just like the act of going to like, we see like how Hortense is looking to confirm a bunch of information. Like, she knows she could go through the agency, but she wants to do it on her own. And going to the public records and like looking, like lifting that huge binder and looking up and like, you know, just even like putting that kind of time into the movie, like letting us see every moment. Even just oh my God, I laughed so hard. I don't know. Speaking of toilets, when Morris comes over and she says, "Why didn't you tell me you were coming? I would have warmed up the seat for you." I did not know
Yeah.
she meant an outdoor toilet. I did not know.
But
And again,
what does that mean?
well, I guess gone and sat on the outdoor toilet for him so that it
What?
would be warm and it wouldn't
Or
be
pour some
cold.
water on it or something.
I
maybe?
honestly feels like she meant literally go warm up the toilet. Like this, like hers is a life of sacrifice. Like, and when she says, there's a really sad line where she says like she is thinking of taking her dad's old bedroom because there she can sort of watch the world go by or something. Oh my God. Like there's some really
Just to look outside, to have never considered that I could maybe take that bedroom.
Yeah.
Like, that's got a nicer view.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
like this man's been dead for a while, as far as I know.
Like many years. many years. And all that crap is still there and the leaking. Oh,
yeah.
gosh. Yeah. Sometimes it just took all out of me. But then we had those brilliant, beautiful moments where they going to the theater and Hortense and Cynthia. And it was, and I loved watching the transformation of Cynthia.
I really felt like I had gone through the ringer at the end of
Oh,
the
yeah.
movie. Because it takes you, like, especially, there's all these moments where you just feel like it's so sad and so it makes you feel really anxious. And then especially like the dinner party at the end when people are yelling at each other and all of the stuff. And it somehow, like, the movie makes you feel like you're right there and right in it. And it did feel very emotionally draining
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
by
God.
the
Yeah.
end of it.
Well, and
And
that's
poor Paul and Jane, why did they have to show, like, you can just, the reaction shots to them, like, I did not sign up for this. I thought I was coming for some barbecue here.
I feel like, so I mean, I'm sure I've blocked most of it out, but I'm sure that like my family in all its various different like permeations have had those like not exactly the same, but like similar, like pretty awkward, emotional, highly intense, like parties wherein like I'm sure different friends of mine have had to witness very awful exchanges that they were just like, why am I here? How do I blend into the background? And I just like
Just walk backwards at Homer Simpson going into the
truly
head.
truly
Yeah.
but just like what, like instead I really love what Jane does, which is burst into tears and say, you would have been such a good dad to Morris. And I love how he goes over to Hortense after this like really volatile moment. And like he goes over to Hortense and talks about and tells her like that she's so brave and he's like so impressed by her. And like and I love
And dubiously says, welcome to the
welcome
family.
to the family. Like I
Yeah.
really loved that moment. And then I love how like, one of our last scenes before we get to the very end is like these four women sort of just collapsed in, sort of cathartic sobbing and hugging and consoling together, like I think, and I do feel like families get to that point, like it's like a breaking point where you've let little pieces of your resentment flourish in different ways, but like sometimes you just got to air all the bad stuff and like release it so that you can sort of like deal with it, address it, and move through it. It doesn't mean you're leaving it behind. It doesn't mean it's not going to flare up again, but like you have to be able to sort of like find moments of forgiveness and relatability in in your sort of like pain, because you can't just be like hating each other forever. It's just like not that healthy, and it's just it's so hard.
It's like it's a movie that really built up to that scene.
Yes.
Like you could feel that coming. Something had to break. It was too sad. It was too horrible. Everybody was in their different camps, and that was. And I also noted. Did you notice the score too? The music had a really set the tone, always making it seem like a bit larger than life, which it is. This is the real stuff, right? The family stuff is the real stuff, not. Are they going to send nukes over, Berlin or something, right? Like it had that kind of music to it, like a really big grand score. And I thought that was really appropriate because I thought these are the big moments of your life. These are the things that matter.
Yeah.
So I think I know the answer to this, but did we all think this movie popped?
Oh my God.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it doesn't feel dated in particular. So if anyone's thinking, 1996... Kind of like watching Fargo, actually. I guess the only thing that really you're reminded of is there are no phones.
Again, no.
There are cell phones. I should say there are actually telephones.
I mean, I think
The wallpaper.
The wallpaper. Oh my God, the wallpaper was incredible.
I've not been to look in these houses. I don't know if I watch a lot of British murder mysteries. Nothing's changed, and they're up to date.
The one thing I do want to recommend, in relation to this particular movie, is there's an essay on Criterion by Ashley Clark called Secrets and Lies, Seen and Not Seen. And he wrote it for Criterion. And it's really, really wonderful. It's a very long essay, but I think it's like really worthwhile. It's worth your time. And one of the things that he says, I'm just going to quote like really, really briefly. He says, owing to its downplaying of the issue of race, the film doesn't really explore how Hortense processes the monumental upending of her own identity, how she reacts to the newly complicated nature of her own Blackness in relation to her existing family and community. And I think that that's like the component that's missing, particularly in context of 2021. But I think his essay does like a really beautiful job of addressing that and interrogating that. And then he also moves into talking about how much he is intensely moved by sort of like that moments of Black British life that the film does depict, which is something that he didn't see personally himself as the Black son of, as the son of a Black man and a white woman, also in London in the 90s. Like there was an absence of sort of that kind of stuff. So, anyway, it's a really beautiful essay, and I like highly encourage everyone to go check it out. And I'm sure we'll link to it in the show notes, but I think it talks so much about like why this movie is so wonderful, and I feel that he also thinks it pops. So
3 pops. I assume you. I'm going to assume.
Oh my God!
That you think it pops.
I love it so much.
Yeah,
I love it so much.
definitely.
Oh, so good, you guys. It's so nice.
Now you're gonna go on a Mike Lee binger and be crying all the time.
Maybe I'm gonna. I don't know. I've got like this new temporary Criterion, membership. So try and watch a few movies.
Get on in there
in the next little bit.
Yeah.
We also love to leave our episodes on something we also personally recommend. So, Lisa, do you want to go first?
Sure. I've been watching the second season of The Morning Show, which started a couple of weeks ago. I really enjoyed the first season. I don't know if any one of you watched it.
Yeah, I liked it too.
Oh, really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I never watched it.
Yeah, it's a really behind the scenes of, it's based on a book about morning TV, which weirdly I feel like has been explored in lots of different movies. But anyway, I'm really enjoying the series. It ended, on that first season, I gotta tell you. So we're now in the second season, and the first episode is trying to do, it's like New Year's Eve, and they're trying to do a retrospective of 2019. And boy, oh boy, they're going, did 2019 ever suck? And you're just like...
You don't know what's coming.
You do not know what's coming. Yeah. So there will be, if anyone's interested, the pandemic stuff is coming out now. All those shows that had to be filmed and Some of them are entertaining the idea of the pandemic. Some of them just White Lotus it and who cares, right? We're just stuck here. But so I'm kind of looking forward to that and kind of not.
Cool. Awesome. AG, what about you?
I'm going to recommend a book, I listened to the audiobook version of it. It's called The Passenger: How a Travel Writer Learned to Love Cruises and Other Lies from a Sinking Ship. And it's by
that
Cheney
sounds
Kwok.
so good.
Yeah, and it's by Cheney Kwok. And basically, March 2019, he was assigned to go on a cruise and write about it for a travel magazine. And it got caught in a terrible storm and lost all power.
Oh my God.
And basically, like, off the Norwegian coast, and was in danger of, like, crashing on the rocks. There are 1,400 people aboard, and the only way they could rescue people was to pluck them one by one by helicopter off the ship. So yeah, he basically sat in the fetal position waiting to be rescued, like on one of the decks of the ship, while there was like chaos. Like furniture came off the walls.
Oh my God. And it's called The Passenger?
Yeah. And just like how it's about like how, like one goes on this crazy luxury cruise and ends up like wondering if they're going to die for 27 hours.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. It's quite a book.
Amazing. That sounds great, and I can't wait to read it. I am going to recommend two quick things. One is Lil Nas X's cover of Jolene. Jolene is, Dolly endorsed it today. I know you're going to hear this next week, but it's great and it's perfect. And of course it is, because it's Lil Nas X. So go and listen to his cover of Jolene. And I'm also going to recommend, so I haven't seen the whole thing. I've only seen a couple photos, and I'm probably not going to get to Edmonton, unfortunately. But if you're in Edmonton, former guest and friend of the podcast, Vivek Shreya, has a new photographic exhibition called Legends of the Trans. And it is, I'm just going to briefly read it to you. This new photographic work, inspired by the 1994 film Legends of the Fall, continues Vivek Shreya's queering of performance photography and storytelling to reflect on open-ended and ever-evolving notions of herself and the immense value of non-conforming role models. So basically, Tristan Ludlow, it's Vivek as Tristan in a series of photographs. It's at the Esker Foundation. And it's, oh my gosh, I love this series. And congrats to Vivek, because it's great.
I can't even, I don't have words for how excited I am to see that.
Yeah, I hope that it comes to Vancouver right now, because I don't know that I'm going to get to Edmonton, nor am I going to rush to Alberta in this pandemic. But
yeah, maybe it'll travel though.
I hope it'll travel. Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much, everyone, for listening. I hope that you've all had just a nice fall wherever you are.
Nice ease into it.
Yeah. You haven't got too much rain in your boots yet. You can hang out with us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You could rate and review us 5 stars.
5 stars.
On iTunes. And if you'd like, you could email us at popthiscollective@gmail.com.
And thanks, as always, to Andrea Gin, who will be producing this and taking out all of the ums and the ahs and the long and dog barks and the fact that I can't say Brendel Bethel. Let me try again. Brenda Blethen.
Great job. Did
Lisa. I get it that
time?
time?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Blethen.
Great job.
Just in time for the
Blethen.
end of the podcast.
I love it.
Yeah. I'll just edit out the other 40 times.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.